Okay, well, welcome everybody. This is the third attempt, second successful attempt at the therapy blab. 2 weeks ago we tried, and for some reason blab was temperamental, so it didn't work. So but we ended up having a spontaneous Twitter chat about countertransference, which was really great. So yeah, that was the night that blab died for sure. That was.
That sounds like a song. We should make it into a song.
Right. So so we ended up having a spontaneous chat about countertransference, Twitter chat, which went really well. I think got that curated somewhere. I can share that. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Sean Erriger, Stuck on Social Work. I blog about social work. Happy Social Work Month, everybody! Yay!
Yeah, yay!
And today we're going to talk about self-care, and I'll have Julie introduce herself too. So,
Hi, I'm Dr. Julie Hanks, LCSW, Go Social Workers, and I blog private practice. I blog about relationships and mental health, and I love this topic. I'm really passionate about self-care, and particularly self-care for women, because we're socialized to that being a good woman means self-neglecting everyone else. So I'm not saying that men don't struggle. One of my passions is that message for women.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. I'm just trying to share this here. Okay, so initially, what I was thinking, because this came up at the last week, the macro social work tweet chat did something about trauma-informed care, and there ended up being this excellent kind of sidebar conversation on the Twitter chat about vicarious trauma and secondary trauma. Julie thought a good start would be to talk about self-care. So I'll just kind of share my thoughts, and then and Julia share hers, and then we'll open up the seats. I mean, my thinking about self-care, and I'm really passionate about it too. I think it's really important. My thinking is the most important thing is realizing that it's that self-reflection piece, kind of realizing that moment when you do need to kind of tap out, so to speak.
I like that.
And I know that that's really hard to do. I mean, I have my go-to things. I love music. I love being with my family. Those are like kind of my go-to kind of self-care strategies. But sometimes it's hard to know when to kind of go, okay, wait, time out. I can't do this right now. So, I mean, that's just kind of my thing is kind of talking about that. What pops for you first thing when you think about self-care, Julie?
Well, I just led a team meeting today, and we were talking a little bit about self-care, and someone made the comment, it is really hard to be a therapist. I mean, sometimes we don't really take a step back and allow ourselves to go, yeah, this is really hard work, and it's emotionally hard work. So we're traveling with clients to places that are not comfortable, and it does impact us. And I like to think, no problem, I've been doing this so long, but I think it's important to step back and realize we are doing hard work, no matter what kind of work you're doing. If you're, in the trenches, doing case management, whether you're doing psychotherapy, whatever you're doing, we're going really difficult places, and that takes its toll. So I like to my team to clue into their emotions. So if you feel numb, if you feel chronically exhausted, if you feel hopeless, that's yourself saying, okay, you gotta take I love tap out. I love that. That's a great great analogy. And one of my favorite movies is Warrior. Have you seen Warrior?
No.
Anyway, it's really a family drama, but they're fighters. Anyway,
Okay.
Put it on your list.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think paying attention to cues, our own cues, physically and emotionally. Like for me, I get tense in my shoulders. So when I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? Massage. I need to go for a run. Just paying attention, because we're good at what we do because we're so attuned to other people and to our environment, and sometimes that gets in the way of recognizing our own needs.
Yeah, it was interesting. I always think one of the things that happened with me is one of the most wonderful yet stressful jobs I had was when I was doing psych evals in an ER, which was interesting because it was so intense and so stressful. But at the same time, it was interesting because you didn't have to carry a caseload. So it was like your day was kind of done. It was like you're almost able to compartmentalize a little bit, which was interesting because it was kind of early in my career when I was doing that. And every once in a while, my wife says, "You know what? You were happier when you were at the ER." And I'm like, "But I worked like evenings and nights, and it was exhausting." But she's like, "You know what? You were able to shut off work, though." Which I thought was interesting. So I see some like wonderful people here, so I'm going to open up seats. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, let's. No, I think that's great. I think also recognizing where my personality fits best, like what kind of setting it allows me to do the work and thrive. Because I think different people are suited for different settings.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is kind of realizing that, and then but then every once in a while, like something will come up that's more kind of like crisis driven, where I don't have to carry a caseload, because I've done various things where I've carried a caseload, and things where I've done more crisis based, like short term stuff, and I always found that when I was doing the short term stuff, I'm like, man, I miss doing long term work, and then when I'm doing the long term work, I'm like, man, I really miss doing crisis stuff.
Yep.
So.
Hello?
Looks like we have. Hi. Is it Eva or Ava?
Hi, guys. Did I press something?
Oh.
Whoops.
Or did you,
We're there.
How did that happen?
You joined a seat. You took one of the seats.
Yeah, you pressed the open seat, but now, wait a second, now you're gone. Oh, now Stacy's calling in. Okay. All right, so Stacy's calling in.
I think
And
she was
then here
ghosting.
comes
What we call ghosting, when somebody is. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear
Now
you.
you can hear me?
I didn't quite hear you.
Yeah, a little bit
for the first
better.
Few minutes.
I got a
so
new
I don't know
cord
if
for
she
my
ended up-
mic.
Yeah, you're like hardcore blabber, Stacy. You're doing like what, like 4?
There's
blabs?
like 4
Is this part
blabs
of your self-
tonight that I am involved in or
Is-
know people in. So I'll probably be popping back.
Is
and
this
forth.
Is this part of your self-care plan?
Yes.
To be in 4 blabs?
No, actually, Blab is part of my self-care plan just because of the
Okay.
social support that it offers. There's several blabs I go in late at night
Right.
just for the socialization. I do it while I'm working. So Eva, you were there, and then you were. I don't think you hit anything wrong. It may have been a tech
The
glitch.
first time I didn't realize
but
I pressed something.
I just wanted to pop in and say that.
But I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to stay because I don't know how strong my internet is. But I'm really happy to be here and to talk to you guys. But did you want to say something, Stacy?
No, I want to hear what you have to say because you were here.
Well, I kind of had, I kind of had a question because, and hi guys, by the way, this is awesome. So this is kind of based on my experience. I've done clinical work, kind of been in the trenches. I'm in Jamaica right now, but I'm more on the entrepreneurial leadership side of things. And I don't know if I've become clueless or kind of out of touch is the word I want to say, not clueless, out of touch. But I have this idea that that self-care is absolutely possible, like in the utopian view that we all talk about. I believe it's possible, but I don't know if I'm disillusioned at this point. Is it really possible, or do you have, or are we kind of destined to be overwhelmed at times? Do we have to, the self-care have to be as managed or as scripted as we're talking about it now, or can we build lifestyles and still be effective social workers that allow us to integrate self-care into our days? What do you guys think about that?
I think somebody that's successful at self-care is the one who builds the lifestyle you were just talking about, actually. But I don't think it's as easy for all of us.
Yeah, I think
oh, go ahead, Sean.
No, you can go.
I think it, like anything else, it's a practice. And sometimes I'm really good at practicing and sometimes I'm not. And it's just an ongoing process of checking in and making sure my needs are met. But I don't think you can ever perfectly balance it. And I don't perfectly balance it. I like work really hard and then I take off my foot off the pedal and veg, and that works best for me. Kind of binge work. But I think it's just.
And I think there's two things. I think it's like how much you do it in terms of self-care versus how much it's kind of like baked into if you work for an agency. I guess it's different if you're doing private practice versus working for an agency. How much do you kind of bake it in self-care for yourself versus also how much your agency kind of makes it important and makes it a priority. Because a lot of agencies, it's not a priority. A lot of agencies, the billing is the priority, or the productivity, or other things are making sure you get your standards in your paperwork, which is all very important, because we have to be productive and be compliant with all the regs and all that, and that's really important too. But it's also really important that we take care of ourselves as well. That's been my experience. I think that.
Oh, go ahead, John.
No, that's what I was going to say. That's just my experience, is that it's been a variety. It's run the gamut of places that I've worked for and settings that I've been in, as far as how much self-care is important and a priority. Go, Stacy.
I heard of one of my supervisees told me recently of a story of her agency, rather, that they just implemented, and I kind of see it as, wouldn't it be cool if all the other agencies were becoming as cool as this one? And they have their billing standards and all of the things they have to do like that, but they put in a gym in their building. It's not just for it's for the staff, but it's also for the clients, and they can actually do their visits in the gym area instead of wherever. And so they're investing in their staff's health, they're investing in their clients' health, they're investing in role model, and it's an agency, MRDD agency, where they support MRDD folks. They're investing in role modeling there. It sounded like, and this particular agency does a lot of progressive things like that. And I think when the agency supports self-care, you get better. Where I used to work, they did, my boss specifically gave us a 20-minute break every day that we had to go and do something physical. It could be walk around the neighborhood in the area. It could be go downstairs to the treadmills they got. It could be sitting on the floor in one of the rooms stretching. Or, well, it can also be meditating, because anything health related, and you got that extra break.
Right.
And it was encouraged. In fact, we had contests where you had to log your break time like that, and the team that got the most whatever got like a day off or something. Cool. It was insane.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I used to work in a therapeutic program for adolescents during the day as part of their school, and it was really awesome because we had a track right in the back of the school, and we had a similar contest where you walk the lap and you put a mark on the track for walking a lap. And so it became a contest among the kids and the staff. And of course, this guy who was like the gym teacher always won, the most laps staff wise. But but it was cool.
Gamification of health like that, at a macro level.
I also think
cool.
I like that thing.
And
who's going?
Julie.
Eva, do you want to go? Okay, I'll go then.
Okay.
I think one aspect of self-care that's really important to me, and it's also an intangible benefit of working at my clinics, is emotional self-care and relationship self-care and and a lot of that has to do with flexibility. I really value flexibility, being able to take time off, to set my own hours, and so that's one of the. I'm just thinking about what do we do in my clinics for self-care, and I think that's part of it is you can take time off when you want. You can take maternity. We have a lot of childbearing age therapists. And they're like, how long do I get for maternity leave? And I can say, take what do you need? How much time do you need? You can take what you need. And so that's, for me, is really highly valued. Flexibility to be able to not only my personal needs, but my relationship and family commitments.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think it's important to have that work-life balance too. But I like Dr. Blake Jones on the corner here, at Dr. Blake Jones. He was kind of talking about staying fresh and doing a variety of things. And I know I joked about Stacy kind of having Blab as part of her self-care plan, but but it's true though, and social media is kind of the same way for me too, because you just get to meet a variety of people and fresh perspectives, and it's for me it's been a game changer in my kind of professional development. Is just the amount of lenses you get to see, and ideas that are out there, and blogs by people who receive services, talking with people who receive services, who are therapists, who are doctors, who are. It's just an amazing variety, and it really has helped me kind of keep fresh. And I think that's a good point too.
Yeah.
I like what Dr. Blake Jones said about diversifying your professional activities and not just doing the same thing over and over again. I think that for me, that's really important, is to have different professional activities that meet different parts of my skill set or
it's a recipe
needs.
for burnout. I mean, it's just a matter of time if you don't do that. And I don't know if you guys saw the 3 rules I put in there. Those are the 3 rules I told the students last night I was covering for my mentor, and those 3 rules, and then of course the caveat that no job is worth your current or future license. But I think we make ourselves one of them being it's practice, not perfect. And I think a lot of times we try and focus ourselves on that being perfect, especially when we're right out of school. But even other times, you're brand new in a job or whatever. Even in here, it's funny. This is a different type of Blab than the others I sit in. This one is much more formal, and I'm not sure if it's because the social workers are just now getting to
funny.
Blab. or if it's, because if we're trying to feel our way around the platform, or if it's because we're making ourselves be perfect. I'm just throwing that
That's
in there.
deep stuff. Don't analyze me, Stacy.
I'm not. No. It's only because
I'm just messing with you.
That's so funny.
Like if you hover over somebody's face, you can tell how long they've been on Blab. So let's see.
Right.
Sean, you've been how old are you here? You're 120 days old.
Does it make it more less like professional if I eat apple and cheese on camera?
Can I have a bite? That's the next. Ooh, thank you.
There you go.
Much less formal.
Somebody tell a joke.
That's so funny because I'm so not formal.
Yeah.
So that's just funny. I'm just following Sean. I don't know what I'm doing on Blab yet.
I'm trying not to be.
I just follow him.
It's just I'm trying to stay. The thing about Blab that I found about Blab is sometimes people have the tendency to get a little bit off topic, like we're doing now. No, I'm just kidding. So that's why I was trying to I try to direct the conversation to be a little bit more formal, but
and it probably also depends on what kind of Blab it is, too.
I like it.
This one being about
exactly.
self-care, I felt like I was okay to like go a little off track. Some Blabs, even if
Yeah,
they have a topic,
it's fine,
okay to go off track anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, guys, I'm gonna tap out as Sean said, only because my internet is kind of in and out. But I was just gonna say, Stacy, I loved your information about how, I guess at your agency, I don't know if you still work there, but they had exercise equipment. But I almost got fired. I was threatened to get fired if I did not practice self-care once upon a time when I was a young social worker, because I kind of burnt out after dealing with a client. So that's something that I carry now into students that I work with and people that I mentor. Like it's pretty important. So, but last thing before I leave, guys, and I'm going to ask this question and then skedaddle. But so I'm in Jamaica, and I don't know what you guys find as barriers to self-care, but I find one of the biggest barriers to self-care here is income. I don't know what your thoughts are about that, but I would love to hear what you think. What you think the correlation is between income and self-care?
Income and self-care.
Like working more because you need the money? Is that what you mean by income? Like overworking, or
I guess it could be two. It could be two, maybe three or four things. So one is lack of finances because maybe they're not working, like there aren't maybe jobs, right? So then that's stressful. And another part of it might be, yes, working too much or working so much just to kind of make ends meet. Jamaica is still a developing country, right? And so it really is dire sometimes for people, even people who are working. So those are the two things that come up for me right now. Yeah, so either not having a job, as a social worker, looking for a job. The government is just kind of getting used to us and embracing us. So it's a work in process, I guess. Or having to work so much and still maybe not make ends meet. And then when I talk to people about self-care, it's like, who has time for self-care? We got bills to pay. I'll self-care as soon as I know, my house isn't going to be taken over by the bank, or as soon as I can register my kids for school or something like that, right?
Is that I'll sleep when I'm dead mentality?
Yeah, I just love. What's that?
It's the I'll sleep when I'm dead mentality. That's a real thing.
Exactly. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. So I'd love your thoughts on that, because again, I wonder sometimes if I'm living in a utopia and it's just not real. It's not possible.
No, I mean, I think it's a very real thing. I mean, in terms of, and again, I think it's a very much an organizational kind of cultural thing within an organization, like HR wise, like what your time off policy is like, what paid time off is like. You know, are you able to take time off when you need it, or is it do you feel guilt if you know, take the morning off because you missed your quota of the clients that you're supposed to see that day, or, you know, those kind of things. You know, I think that that's a really important piece is, and again, if you're kind of doing your own gig in private practice, I don't really know much about it. Maybe Julie can speak to that. But in terms of, you know, I've mainly worked for organizations, so I haven't done my own private practice. So, I mean, that's kind of what I don't know how it is in that, but my self-care has always kind of been kind of based on that. But I haven't had a whole lot of financial pressure though either. So I don't really know how that works, but in terms of, you know, kind of that's what those were my thoughts.
Yeah.
It looks like Julie is frozen over here.
Am I?
Julie, are you?
Hello, hello.
Oh, you just your picture was frozen.
Oh, okay.
At least on my end.
Yeah.
It could be, and again, that's the thing. It's like what I see. Okay. So I still see you, Ava.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Julie's just
watch from the sidelines and give somebody else a chance.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
It's nice to see you.
Good to see you too. I will be in touch.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
So Julie, more on the private practice kind of side of things.
Yeah, self-care is still it's still a struggle. I think with private practitioners because there's a lot of stress when your income depends on how much you right. The biggest problem I've private practice is boundaries, like starting and ending your sessions on time, so you have time in between to note, to eat, go to the bathroom. You know, scheduling in breaks. That's a struggle for a lot of private practitioners to do that, because they, you know, if they work more, they make more. It's not a salary kind of situation, and so they tend to kind of give away their time. I wrote a blog post a few years ago that if with 10 clients a week you go over 10 minutes and you charge $100 per session, you're giving away, I think it was $13,000 a year in free therapy of your own time. So like you're giving, you know, from your savings or your family's income, $13,000. And people are like, what? But that's part of self-care is setting those boundaries and not giving away your time to people who don't even know you're giving them a gift. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Does that make sense? And then at your own expense.
No. Yeah, no, that's, I mean, when you do the math, you know, when you think about it that way, I think time management is such a huge part of, I'm just kind of, that just kind of popped into my head as you said that, you know, forget the money management piece, but the kind of the time management piece is kind of huge too. You know, your ability to kind of manage your time so that you can take breaks and you can take care of yourself. You know, me, I for the last 3 years, I've had the luxury. I'm in this really wonderful community-based program right now, where I work with kids in the community in school on an intensive level because they've had a recent psychiatric hospitalization. So it's really cool. I meet them in their homes, in school, and so like I have these kind of like built-in kind of self-care breaks in there where I drive a little bit in between appointments, and on days when it's nice, like if I have an appointment at probation or DSS, like Department of Social Services, I can walk there if I need to, like, so I have these really nice, I can kind of build that stuff in, and I have some flex time. But I know, and I'm co-located with an outpatient clinic where a lot of the stressors that I talked about in terms of meeting your billable notes and things like that it's a very real thing,
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, and let's see, somebody's calling in.
Yay.
Let's see here.
I have an honorable mention though for Ditto, because Ditto's a slut and I love it. But yeah, that's pretty much like my top Pokemon.
Okay, I'm going to kick that off. I don't
Talking
know what
about
that
self-care.
was.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and...
One thing that came up today is also having your own therapist to go and process things with. That's you know what I mean? That's self-care. And I think about, yes. I like to use the analogy of a pit crew in a racing car. So I move through life really fast, and I like it that way, but I have to have my pit crew in place. So when I stop, like I can get, my tune up and have everything in place and then go again. And so, I ask, who's on your pit crew? So I have, a massage therapist who's on my pit crew. I have, do you know what I mean? Like I play a team sport. So that's part of my crew. I make sure I have, spend time with friends on a weekly basis. That's part of my pit crew. I like that analogy.
No, that's great. That's excellent. Yeah, Chris agrees. Chris knows.
Thank you.
Chris works in. Chris is one of my friends from the suicide prevention community, nice. And he does a lot of crisis work. So I know he knows about taking breaks and self-care. So, but yeah, you know what I said. I just realized in the beginning I introduced that we did last attempt was therapy for the therapist, not the first attempt of the therapy blab was countertransference. That's what we tried to talk to about last time was therapy for the therapist, and kind of when do we know we need that part in our pit crew. But I love that pit crew thing. That's great.
Isn't that, for me it fits because I go fast. Woo, go,
Yes.
But I gotta stop.
You gotta stop. You gotta change the tires. You gotta gas up. You gotta exactly. I mean, there's so many ways to go with that.
Guilt gets in the way of a lot of therapists in particular. I think therapists are kind of tend to be a certain type of person, play a certain role in family of origin. There's some tendencies to be really deep feeling, really sensitive. So there are some things that make us great therapists that also make us more susceptible to burnout, to fatigue. And then also like guilt about taking care of our needs because there's all these needs in the world around us and our families. And, I can't do that for myself. So I've personally had to work a lot on that. Just like, I'm of equal value as everybody else on the planet, my kids, my staff. So I matter just as much. So why do their, doesn't make sense that their needs would always come first.
Yeah. No, that's.
What do you do for? I want to know what you do for self-care. What does everybody do?
What do I do?
Yeah.
For me, I music is my go-to thing. I used to. They're sitting over here collecting dust in my basement. But I used to play percussion, bongos and congos and things like that. And they sit.
Go get them! Come on! I'll grab my guitar. We can have a.
But I'm really into my thing is jam band music. And I'm a Deadhead. I love Fish. I love this band Mo. I like the idea that I love jam so much because it literally sometimes takes you to a different place for a little while, and then you kind of or get brought back. So I like jazz. I listen to a little bit of everything, but that's kind of I have a long commute, relatively long. I got 35-minute commute. And then I drive in between sessions, sometimes in between visits and stuff. So that's how I decompress.
Nice. Yeah. Dr. Blake Jones said, I think emotional intimacy in therapy can be addicting too. I think say more. Do you want to jump in?
Yeah.
Dr. Blake Jones? That's a fascinating comment, and I'd love to know more.
Well, yeah, one of the things that one of my favorite things to think about is I love the notion of the writing reflex, the RIGHT, making things right reflex from I believe it was Miller and Rolnick in motivational interviewing. We had, and what you spoke to it a little bit before, like we just want to step in and make things right. And I think sometimes that can be exhausting. And I think sometimes we need to be aware that we're trying to do that and be aware of that writing reflex. Like sometimes we can't always make things right as we want to see them.
We never can.
Right.
That's what I've learned. We can help other people make changes, and that's about it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. For me, it's been really important for me to listen to my intuition. And part of my self-care a year ago was I retired from direct clinical practice. And I'm doing more consulting, writing, media kinds of things. Because I just felt after 20 years, I just felt like I needed to use that energy in other areas of my life. And your comment, Dr. Jones, reminded me of that, because one of the things that I had to grieve about making that transition was the lack of intimacy. Like I had these really intimate connections with people, and then to say goodbye to that and realize there are very few people in the world who want that kind of connection in real life, I mean, a lot of people, they're not interested in that. So anyway, that got me, your comment got me thinking about that, how I had to kind of grieve the loss of those relationships, that people that I'd come to know on a pretty deep, long-term level. Yes. Thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
So what do you do, Julie, for self-care? You could ask me. I wasn't.
So I do a lot. So I'm a musician. I'm a songwriter. So I will sit down and just write and free associate and think of metaphors and just see what comes out. So that's when I get really kind of burned out or out of gas. I'm like, oh, I haven't done music. Because that's just something that has brought me a lot of joy. A question I'll often ask clients is, what brought you joy as a child? And bring that back into your life in some way. And that usually is a key to what energizes you or feels self-care. So okay, this is going to sound odd, but I only do the things I want to do. Like I say no to things I don't want to do, and I say yes to things I do want to do. And right now I'm working on playing more, because I'm thinking about things, and I have a lot of responsibilities, and so I sometimes feel burdened. So I joined a roller derby team, And that's been awesome because I don't think about anything. I don't think about taking care of anyone. And
That's great.
so that's something I've done. I go to lunch with a friend at least once a week, or a movie or something. I really need my female connections. So
Yeah.
I do that. I love going to movies. So I try to go to a movie at least twice a month. So I just make time to do the things that I love to do. And one thing I did, my New Year's resolution last year was to allow myself to not be a morning person. Like, I'm a night person, not a morning person. So I have a lot of control over myself. I'm like, I'm not scheduling any commitments before it's time. And I'm just going to lounge around because it takes me a while to get going. And so that was part of my self-care New Year's resolution, was I'm just not going to fight it anymore. I think I should be up at 5 exercising. Like, no, I get up at the very last minute. And so just kind of coming to terms with what my natural inclinations are, not trying to fight it. That's part of my self-care too.
Yeah. Great. Excellent.
What do other people do? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I was just wondering if anybody wants, there is the open seat, if anybody wants to hop on or
type.
just kind of write or type what they do. That'd be great.
Oh, Sean, another thing that I have learned over time is about every quarter, I need 2 days entirely by myself, like with no family, no husband, no friends, because I absorb things around, I just need to be by myself and kind of decompress and then come back and, with renewed energy. So I'll just sequester myself for a couple days.
That's
hopefully where there's sun, if possible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wonderful if you can do that. I mean, to be able to kind of, of course, me, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to blog. I'm not going to spend any time on social media. I'm just going to shut off. And for those of you who follow me, no, I can't do that. So no.
Well, if it's fun though, like for me, I self-care is like what I said. Do what energizes you. Don't do what drains you if you can help it. Like, I know, of course, you have to do some things you don't want to do, but if you have it, do the things that energize you. And if it obviously energizes you, so that's self.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Lake is saying.
Yeah, I was about to read his comment there.
Zumba and funny movies, Eva and Dr. Blake. Okay, says, love the idea of holding a circular disc in your hand in between clients and thinking about all of the other people in their world who are helping them. We are not alone. Nice.
It's a nice visual, yeah. Yeah, that is a really nice visual. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some of the other things that I've done, inside from kind of, again, I think it's just that whole idea of that you gotta, like you said, you gotta, do what you want, but you also have to make the time to do it and make it a priority. And I think that's...
And feel deserving of it. That's a huge block. Is to feel deserving of it. I think that's really important.
Yeah, meditation is. Eva just asked about meditation. That's one of the things it's like it's the practice what you preach kind of thing. Sometimes I'm a big fan of trying to walk through some of the kids that I work with meditation, and sometimes they look at me like I have 50 heads. I try to shy away from the guided meditation, but sometimes I do deep breathing. There was this really cool method that actually a special ed teacher taught me that is called square breathing, where you kind of picture the square and kind of draw it as you're breathing. So like you breathe in,
4 seconds on
breathe
each.
out,
Yeah.
breathe in, and you're trying to draw and kids are kind of into that, which I think is good. But I don't practice meditation probably as much as I should. I don't know. I do enjoy it, but it's like, who's got the time? No, but you gotta make time,
I don't meditate specifically, but I practice a lot of mindfulness, like just paying attention and noticing what's happening for me, what my, sensations, feelings, thoughts. So I do that on a regular basis. Yeah, the square breathing. Actually, Brene Brown talks about that in her latest book, and I guess she learned it from the military. Uses that a lot. So anyway, I thought, well, that's an easy way. And she says mindfulness is just paying attention, and I like that because I do pay attention. I don't sit there, I just, it doesn't fit for me, but I do pay attention.
Yeah.
Sean, another thing, part of self-care that I think is really important is supervision and consultation for difficult clients.
Absolutely. And to know that one of the things that I'm a believer in is to kind of know also when you're struggling. Oh, hey, Courage Sings. To know when you are struggling with a client. I'm working on a post about borderline personality disorder, and kind of self-reflection on that, and kind of being careful about the language that you use when you're frustrated about that. And I've seen that, and with other diagnoses too, and just with that whole idea of people are, that client is attention seeking, or, and you get frustrated. And I think it's that supervision piece is huge, to have a conversation about when the work that you're doing and the people that you're working with and that frustration towards them is creating a barrier,
Right. And the labels and the judgments become a barrier to protect ourselves, right? Like, oh, yeah, they're this, they're, then they become not human, right? We can kind of label and put them in a box. And
right.
Yeah, I can't wait to read that. I hope you'll blast that.
Yeah, I will definitely share that. And Courage Sings was talking about bamboo breathing. Visualize a piece of bamboo, breathe in, release breath on each notch of bamboo. That's kind of cool.
I like that. I think I would actually get a piece of bamboo.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's kind of you can kind of put like the tactile kind of thing with that too, where you can actually get the piece of bamboo and kind of feel that as you're doing it. That would be kind of cool. I like that.
So there's a really great device that's pretty inexpensive called Muse, and there's an app, and it's a brain sensing headband, and it's a game. And so when your brain waves, so each time you put it on, it takes a baseline, and then you try to bring your waves down and kind of, anyway, it's really cool. You earn birds when your brain is less active. It'll go pew, pew. And so you count your birds and you try to beat, like, my kids were like, I got 20 birds. I'm like, I got 1. Oh my gosh, I got to work on my, on my Muse. But it's a mindfulness meditation game. It's really cool.
Yeah, one of my followers she's also a fellow musician, drummer, Dr. Wen Dombrowski. She's at Dr. Wen, I think it's just WEN, and that Muse program. I think it's called it's at Choose Muse, on Twitter. But she once shared with me her kind of on her Twitter account. She when she was playing the drums one time, she put the Choose Muse thing on her head as she was playing the drums, and kind of showed the before and then the after, and then it was really cool. Like looked like a really neat program. Yeah, it looked really neat to be able to again that whole idea of I think Stacy brought that up before when we were chatting about kind of gamifying things a little bit, and that's a neat way to do that. So
well, and there are also several apps that I've tried. There's one called Breathe. There's one called Mindfulness that you just can open up and pick, like, okay, I want a 10-minute guided imagery, or I want, and they're already built in, and they track.
Yeah. There's
Calm. Okay, I'll have to check out. Oh, yeah. Eva, the game. Well, it's called Muse, Muse, and it's Choose Muse on social media.
Yeah, I just commented on that. So, yeah, one of the encourage things. One of the youth that I work with actually showed me Calm 2 weeks ago. He kind of found it himself, and he was like, "Oh, I found this really cool thing where I can do meditation." I was like, "Oh, okay." I'll share that with other people. So that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we're talking, I'm just thinking it's so interesting that the way that we live now, we have to like purposefully not do stuff, right? Like where before, you'd have to go out and go shoot, like you go in the wilderness and shoot animals to have food to eat or whatever. Like where that was built in to just how you do life, right? Or you'd be working on the farm doing a repetitive kind of behavior and be able to clear your mind, right? So like now we have to schedule in our unscheduled time to meditate.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Oh,
yeah.
But at least we're doing it.
Right. Yeah. All right. So we're heading up on the hour here, at least with the recorded piece, but I think we did a good job here. So I'm gonna I think we'll be back again in 2 weeks. We want to stick with every other Wednesday, 9 p.m. East. I have an idea. Pretty much what we're going to do 2 weeks from now is next week I'm going to the National Council on Behavioral Health conference in Las Vegas, which I'm really stoked about.
Cool.
I'm going to actually be speaking on Twitter chats, so that'll be fun.
Very cool.
But I hope to maybe chat with a few of the social media ambassadors or anybody that was there, and kind of do a debriefing about the National Council on Behavioral Health, and I think that would be a good topic. I know we've been talking a lot about self stuff, and we can certainly get back to that, but it'd be cool to go into this huge event and be cool to chat with people who are there about stuff.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
All right. Everybody have a good
Hey, thanks for seeing. It was great to chat with everybody, and make sure I'm following you all on social media.
Yes. Yeah. All right.
Hey, good luck at the conference. That sounds really cool.